you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hey folks, Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. One of the earliest things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, for 16 years, 2,800 episodes. Count them up. We'll probably hit, I think we're going to hit 3,000 episodes by May or so. At the pace we're going, maybe April. So be sure to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. We want every person in the world to listen to the Chris Voss Show so we can help them make a better place. Because that's what our authors do here. They bring their amazing stories. They lift the show. They lift your world. They lift your outlook. And if you're not feeling like you're getting it, just go back and listen to all 2,800 shows. Start from the beginning and count them all down. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his book and all that good stuff. It is entitled Growing Your Nest Egg, a primer on investing for my grandchildren and other young adults, out July 28th, 2025 by John W Weiser. We're going to talk to him on the show and get into all the good details and stuff that maybe you can do to make your life and your future children, grandchildren, be better. John Weiser serves on the Senior Advisory Council of the United Religions Initiative and the world's largest grassroots interfaith organization. He graduated from Harvard Law School and served as a partner of Shearman and Sterling, a White Street law firm, before taking the post of general counsel of Bechtel Group Incorporated, an international engineering construction firm. He and his late wife, Maria, had 9 children, one of whom died as a toddler. They have 12 grandchildren, and he's currently married to Susan Coney, who has 6 children, 12 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. He's the author of a memoir, 1,000 Kisses, a family's escape from the Nazis to a new life, and Grasp the Nettle, appreciating the bold life of Bishop W.E. Swing. Welcome to the show, John. How are you, sir?
Fine, thanks. Very delighted to talk to you.
Delighted to have you as well, John. It's wonderful. And you're a multi-book author, we should mention as well. Give us your .coms or websites, social media, emails, wherever you want people to get to know you better.
www.johnweiser.com.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What's in this book?
This is a very simple overview of investing, of the forces that push stocks up and push stocks down, of the various ways in which you can invest. Ultimately, I recommend a simple way for everybody.
Simple is better, maybe, huh?
Yes.
And so the focus of this is how you do your investing and your intention to pass that along to your grandchildren and how to make sure that they can enjoy the fruits of your knowledge and experience.
That's right. In today's world, very few people end up having a pension or a retirement plan. Almost everybody has to invest for themselves in an IRA or 401k plan. And so this is some advice about how you can build that nest egg to support yourself. Because most of these kids will retire when they're 60 or 65, and they'll live for another 20 years. So they need to have some money to support themselves.
Yeah, and it's always good for emergencies, too.
Absolutely.
You never know. I mean, some people, they say, I think like the average person can't survive a $400 extra bill to their budget in America right now.
That's right. So, it's a very sad situation.
Very sad, very sad. And so the book is billed as providing the wisdom of expert Wall Street investors and your own experiences. Tell us about some of your experiences investing and some of the tips, maybe you tease out some of the favorite tips you have in the book.
I found the best thing was to start saving early, let it accumulate. And the wonder of our stock market is if you're invested in the stock market, historically it goes up. And so as long as you're invested, you generally do get some increase in your value.
Increasing your value is always good.
Absolutely. You need that money when you retire.
Most definitely. Now, let's see here. Some of the tips that you have in the book, what would be a tip that you could tease out to people that maybe, or a story of your experience in investing that was a way that you came up with to maybe get better results?
I've had one terrible mistake in my life in investing, and there's always something to be learned from your mistakes. I got caught up in the hype of the technology boom back in 2000 when all these new technologies were coming on, computers and all the things they could do for us. And I followed a very good fellow called George Gilder, who is a excellent expert in computers. In fact, he went and advised President Reagan on it.
Oh, wow.
But what he did was he knew all the good things those companies could do, but he didn't do a lot of homework in the management and how they pursued their goals. And the end result was that I rode along with him up to a very high number. I had over $10 million in technology stocks. Of course, when it all collapsed in 2002 or whatever it was, all that $10 million turned down to nothing. So it was a very, very bitter lesson.
Oh, yeah.
To be careful how you invest. So then I started studying what people like Warren Buffett did, or Peter Lynch and other people who had been very successful in the stock market. The first thing I learned from Warren Buffett is that he avoids technology stocks because they're too volatile and that's not his style.
Yeah.
So
he likes those insurance stocks that...
Oh, yes, he does, because they provide what he calls float.
Yeah.
That is, you pay your premium today and then there's no claim for the next 10 or 15 years. In the meantime, you have that money to invest free of interest. So that's where he built his empire.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty brilliant, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But you find that he and his partner, Charlie Munger, would study all of the possibilities they had, and they rejected about 90 to 95% of the possibilities and spent a long time looking very carefully at what they were going to invest in. And they're both very, very smart men. And even they made some mistakes. But what you realize is that investing like that takes a lot of work. You have to be pretty smart, and then you have to spend a lot of time digging into what you're going to invest in. So Warren Buffett comes into the office and he sits at his desk and he spends all day long reading annual reports of companies, trying to find something that fits his requirements. Peter Lynch did it another way. His view was that we all can be good investors if we just pay attention to what's happening around us. So one day his wife went to the grocery store and she saw a display for Hanes undergarments. And she bought one. She brought it home to Peter and he looked at it and he talked to her, and then he went to the store himself and he saw that Hanes had found a new way to distribute their products. Most of the people who sold clothes like they did sold them in department stores. But these people found a way to sell them in grocery stores. And the difference is that women go to the grocery store almost every day, but they only go to the department store maybe once a month, once every other week. So they had a way of showing their products to people much more quickly. So that was Peter Lynch's example of what's right in front of you. Just keep your eyes open. But then he also wrote a book giving you all the details of how you have to check the capital and the income and the depreciation and the capacity of management. And there's a lot of work to be done. And so ultimately I came to the conclusion that most people, including me, are better off investing in an index fund that is a mutual fund that mirrors the stocks in the index. Indexes are ways of measuring how different classes of securities are doing. So you have a whole range of mutual funds, and some are index funds in the sense that they use an index to follow. And my recommendation at the end of the day was get a broad S&P 500 index and just take the benefit of the market rising, and don't try to pick an individual winner, because that takes more work than most of us are willing to do.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, generally overall, those indexes usually tend to go up. I mean, there might be bear markets, but overall, right, they tend to go upward.
Overall, the market tends to go up over time.
Yeah.
Because it reflects the earnings of the companies that are in the market, and most of them are profitable, make money, and their value rises. And the ones that fail, they disappear and they come out of the index. Basically, you keep holding the winners and drop out the losers.
Yeah. I mean, that's really smart, because, if you own stock in, I'm just going to use an extreme example, one company, let's say maybe you own Sears at one point in time. I can't remember if Sears filed bankruptcy or they were bought out by a trust fund, which is the same thing. Not a trust fund, but a monetary fund, which is the same thing. They eventually cut it up and sell it to bankruptcy court and then buy it back at pennies on the dollar from themselves. But to say you invested in Sears or something that went bankrupt, Kodak, maybe, I don't know. You lose all your money that you'd invested, right? And so,
exactly.
But if you do what you're talking about, buying into, a thing that compiles all the top funds and an index, then you've got some bulwark against that and some safety.
That's right. They say the losers drop away and the winners keep going.
That's what
the index follows the winners.
That's what they tell me after 18 years of being in podcasting and watching millions of podcasts go full zombie. And why is this important to pass on to your grandchildren? Do you have some tools or vehicles that you utilize, maybe trusts or other funds, other ways of transferring that money tax-free to, or at least, minimalizing taxes in some sort of vehicle to a financial vehicle so that it can be inherited by your kids?
What I've done is, when one of my grandkids was born, one of my great-grandkids now is born, I usually set up a trust, and I put in a certain amount of money, and we just leave it there. And of course, the kid doesn't have to go to college for 20 years. So there's 20 years of accumulation and reinvestment. And the end result is that most of these kids start out, let's say, with $100,000, and by the time they're ready to go to college, there's $500,000 in that fund. So they've all been able to go to college. And that's been very satisfying for me.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, you entitled the book, I'll have some fun here. You entitled the book, Primer on Investing for My Grandchildren. Did you not want to invest for your children?
My children have already had the benefit of all that.
Oh.
This is now a new group coming up.
Now, are you taking people who want to be adopted as your grandchild? Because I'm open for an inheritance. You might get some calls and emails after this. There. But I just had some fun with the title there. Right. And it also mentions young adults. Is this a sort of style of investing that you would recommend for young adults to eventually build the nest egg so that when they do hit those older ages, they can retire and enjoy their work?
Yes, the idea is it's for my grandkids. They were the initial audience. Then I thought about it. I said, there's lots of other people like my grandchildren, the same age, the same situation. They just came out of college. They're just starting to work. And the first thing they have to learn is to start saving money, which is not easy because there's so many things to spend on. But you have to start saving to build a nest egg. That's
true. Otherwise, my dad used to do this funny thing. He loved studying investing and he had a lot of books on it that I read when I was a kid. And he would do this thing with you where he'd say, would you rather have a penny every day with compound interest for 10 years, or would you rather have, I can't remember what the figure was, $1 million or something maybe? And we would always go, $1 million, whatever it was. Don't quote me, folks. I'm just doing a show here. Time to look it up. But it turns out the penny compounded interest every day, it far exceeds whatever that number was that he would utilize. I believe it was $1 million or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to go back.
Could be.
Yeah. I'm getting old to remember what was told to me as a child.
Yeah. Power of compound interest is amazing.
Power of compound interest. And same thing with compound investing, right? I mean, if you're getting if you can beat market rates or the passbook savings rate, which is really low these days. When I was growing up, when I was a kid, the passbook savings rate was 6% at a bank. But now I think it's, 1, 2, 3% or something.
It's very low.
Yeah.
Very low.
Yeah. I mean, they just send me notices on it and I'm just that's cute. Thanks for that. All right. PayPal also does that to me. They send me a thing like, you got some cash back, $3. And you're like, wow. I'm going to write home to Mom. Mom, guess what? I got $3 today for spending $50,000 a month in fucking PayPal. Now you're a multi-book author. How many books do you have?
I have 3 now. I have the book Building Your Nest Egg. Then I have a book called 1,000 Kisses, which is a story of the family's flight from Nazi Germany to the United States. And then I have another book called Growing the Grass the Nettle, which is a story about a good friend of mine, Bishop Swing, a remarkable guy, still alive at 90, still working away. Really a wonderful man.
And now the story 1,000 Kisses, a family's escape from Nazis to new life. This is about your family story, correct?
Yes, it is.
Wow. And that's got to be a hell of a story, right?
It is. Yes, my father was a successful doctor in Vienna. My mother was from a large family that owned the oldest restaurant in Vienna. And we were happy and living a very nice life when the Nazis came and annexed Austria.
Were you guys in that Sound of Music video? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it wasn't quite as fun as the movie. But yeah, that's quite a story to tell about your life. I mean, you probably wouldn't be here maybe if the Nazis had caught these folks and done the horrible things that they were doing to people back then. It doesn't seem like much has changed. Sometimes it's just a different title of humans being horrible to each other. So work on that, folks. But that's why we have the Chris Voss Show, to make the world better. But no, it's great you wrote that book, Grasp the Nettle, Appreciating the Bold Life of William E. Swing. When did you first start writing books? When did you first maybe have the epiphany that, I think I have a knack for this, I'm going to do this?
I think it was about 15 years ago when I wrote 1,000 Kisses. And what happened is my mother had died and we went to her apartment and we found in the apartment a bag full of letters and other documents that they had saved. And they were the letters that they had exchanged in 1938 when my father had fled Austria and my mother was still there trying to get permission to leave. And then all the letters they wrote trying to get somewhere because no countries were accepting refugees from Europe. And they all had good excuses, but they just wouldn't take them. And finally, by sort of happy coincidence, we got a visa to go to Brazil as tourists. The only problem with being a tourist is you can't work. There we were in Brazil for a couple of years. Parents weren't able to work, but they had to feed my sister and me and themselves. So finally found a job way out in the country, away from civilization. And we were doing fine until the guy who owned the factory, hired a German who was himself a Nazi sympathizer. So he then turned my father over to the authorities, and we had to go find some way to get out. But fortunately, because there was a war raging in Europe, none of the people who would usually leave Europe to come to the United States were able to come. The quota opened up in the United States for Hungarians. My father was Hungarian, so we were able to come in on the quota as normal approved immigrants. Got to the United States. My father had to go through the licensing to become a doctor in the United States and did that. Then he had to be a resident and an intern and all those things, which was okay for a kid, but a little harder for a guy in his 40s who had 2 kids to feed. So they went through some difficult time, but eventually the United States is such a great country that if you're willing to work hard, you can land on your feet and do okay, and we did. So
that's awesome. And then what'd you guys do when you got here?
My father, I say, went through the drill to become a doctor in the United States. Eventually, he opened a practice and managed to do okay and get me into school. Then I won a college scholarship, so I went to a good college. Got out, I got to law school on a GI Bill. And then I got to practice and made enough money to get my kids to school. So it all worked out very well.
That's awesome. That is just freaking awesome. You know, what a life. My great-grandfather came from Nazi Germany in the 1800s. Mormon cult went out and recruited him to move to Utah. And he came here without knowing a lick of English. When they dumped him off of the train at Union Pacific Station in downtown Salt Lake City, he couldn't speak English. He spoke German. And he went to work at one of the famous feed mills that's still around. And so here I am. So without his journey that he took and the dangers of what I'm sure he went through and coming over here probably on a ship. They didn't have planes back then, folks. Just so you know, Gen Zers. They're like, what are ships? Anyway, I'm just teasing you guys. But, he made quite the journey. I mean, he gave up everything. He came here with whatever he could carry on his back.
I had $3 in his pocket.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And, if you or I came to a city where we couldn't speak English, nowadays, they probably, I don't know, they'd have us as security or something. But they took him. They found some other Germans in town that could speak his language, because it was really small back then. And they took him in. They fed him. They gave him a job. They gave him housing, took care of him. And here we are today. So I wouldn't be here without it. But these stories are amazing. The journeys, the risks that our families took. It's pretty. I don't know that I have that sort of gumption. Would you? These days?
You're right. You're right. We're much softer.
I'm like, I'm not getting up out of my lazy boy. So is there any future books that you have, maybe you're working on, you want to tease out to people?
I'm thinking of writing a book about civics. But I don't know. We'll see. My kids want me to write a book about what I believe.
Yeah.
So that's the other alternative.
Civics are really in trouble. A lot of people, yes. You go online and everyone quotes the Constitution, but clearly no one's read it because I've read it. And they'll be like, yeah, the Constitution says that you can own tanks and mate with aliens. And you're like, that's not in there. I just checked it again, and it's not in there. I mean, most journalists we have on the show, and they adhere to high journalistic standards, at least the ones we have on. We don't have Fox News people on. But we have high journalistic standards, and they keep a copy of the Constitution on them. And nowadays, it just seems like no one has read the Constitution. No one has read the Federalist Papers. And if you're out there and you haven't read the Federalist Papers, please read them. It's the detailed kind of journalistic account of how they developed the Constitution, why they developed the Constitution the way it was, why they set up several things. So I think if you did a book on civics that helped educate people, and then the one thing a lot of local governments have been doing to make sure their people are stupid and they keep working in coal mines is they made it so they don't teach civics anymore. So a lot of schools don't teach it anymore. And so that's why we have this whole dearth of adults that are like, and you're like, yeah. So I would think a book like that would be great.
We'll see.
Yeah. Or, whatever else you want to write about. Right. Don't write about what I'm telling you to do. I don't know. But, it's beautiful that you're writing, you're helping your grandchildren, you're having an influence, you're passing it down, and hopefully they can learn from your example and do just as good and pass it forward, pay it forward.
That would be nice. That's the hope.
That's the hope.
The challenge really is just to keep my family together, enjoy each other, and support each other.
Now you got
working pretty well.
Now you got quite the big family here. If I understand the math correctly, with your original wife, Maria, you had 9 children.
Yes.
And then 12 grandchildren out of that. And you're currently married to another woman, Susan, who has 6 children. So you technically have 15 children. Do I have that count?
That's right. And then she has 12 grandchildren.
We got 24 grandchildren?
24 grandchildren.
And 1 great-grandchild.
Now, in the meantime, since that was written, I've had 3 great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
And she's had another great-grandchild. So we're up to 5 great-grandchildren.
It's moving faster.
Still have hope for more.
I just got a call from the family, and they just had one more when we were on the show. when you've got a litter that big in a basketball team or football team, things move fast.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
and I don't know if you know this. They've done
exciting.
I don't know if you've done this, but they've done scientific studies on why people have kids. There's actually something that happens there.
So scientists look at everything, don't they?
No, they know. So as we go out, give people a final pitch out to order up your books and find out more about you on the interwebs, whatever .coms, emails, or social media you want to reference.
I recommend that you look at this book, Growing Your Nest Egg, then 1,000 Kisses and Grafts the Nettle. My website is www.johnwweiser.com. I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to speak to Chris and through him to you.
And we appreciate the opportunity to have you on the show. And please come back with future workings that you do there and making everything better. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold. Growing Your Nest Egg, a primer on investing for my grandchildren and other young adults. Out July 28th, 2025 by John W Weiser. And by the way, that's his grandchildren, not my grandchildren, because I don't have any grandchildren, because I don't have any children. I let John fill in for me on having extra children. So he filled in for my part there. Thanks, John. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com, YouTube.com, Facebook.com. Always Chris Voss, one word. See you there. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, John, great show. Wonderful.